Well, I've got Dean Lister, Roy Dean coming over.
Have you?
Yeah, in May.
Okay. Coming over to where?
For our kind of kick-off seminar.
Okay. Where's the location of that?
Swansea CRA.
Okay. It's not too far.
Yeah, so Dean will be doing seminars all up and down the country. And we're helping him like sort all that out. So yeah. I'll mention it to him.
Yeah, I think we've messaged Dean a couple of times to try and get him on, but he's not come back to us. He's obviously a busy guy.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just
he hasn't read it.
Yeah, it's just getting that connection sometimes.
Yeah, I can put you in touch with him.
Yeah, and I'd like to speak to Roy Dean as well. He's the guy that does all the
it's all the gi stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but he does the really cool like grading demos and stuff.
Yeah. That's how. Do you know, that's the first time I've seen it. Was it him who got graded, like how to do a test for his black belt?
That's it.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
For him to get his black belt.
But they all do.
Yeah.
All of the students go through. What do they call it?
Like a gauntlet or something?
Something like that. It's like a term, like the challenge or the something.
Yeah, I quite liked it. Yeah, because it was good. Because it was a good example though, wasn't it, of like actually being a black belt. Because they put him in some shit positions, mate. I was like, fair play.
Yeah, and do you know what, mate? Like some people would look at that in the jiu-jitsu community and go, that's a little bullshit. It's all choreographed and it's like drilling and free rolling or whatever. But I don't know, mate. Like even just for me, I'm a bit sentimental, and I think just imagine when you're an old git,
exactly,
and you look back at the day you got your black belt and you're doing all those really cool moves. You're showing the kids. It'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, so it's good. It's different, but it's not. I'm not against it. Do you know what I mean? Some people are just so like set in their lane. Like, oh, if you do this, it's a cult. If it's this, it's wrong. It's like, well, just kind of respect it a little bit. Like if that's what they like to do in their like neck of the woods, and it does filter out. If you can't do those moves, mate, you ain't getting your black belt.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if a purple belt's pinning you down, do you really deserve your black belt? Maybe not.
Yeah. And I think depending on who you speak to, obviously as a black belt, you should be able to at least instruct and coach most positions and most things. So being able to demo that you can do it at the very least is part of that. So not bad.
Maybe. I don't know.
Anyway, should we do this podcast, boys?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ollie, welcome to the podcast. How are you, buddy?
Thank you, sir. I'm very well. How are you both?
Yeah, we're good. We're very good. And appreciate you coming down, mate. Obviously, people may not know your face, but you are the brains, the founder of the Matador App.
That's right. Yeah, that's my baby.
Yeah. So let's start there, mate. Let's hear a little bit about what this app is, if people haven't heard of it.
Yep. So basically, we're an up-and-coming app designed to manage everything around seminars. So finding seminars, organising seminars, and managing seminars. So that's from all aspects. So whether you're an attendee, practitioner looking for seminars, whether you're a gym trying to host seminars, or whether you're an athlete trying to actually find and organise seminars. That's it in a nutshell, and we can get into a lot more detail, but that's kind of the high level.
Yeah, nice. And I assume there's nothing else out there at the moment that's similar?
So there's a few things, and I think there's platforms out there, but not apps that are specifically created with the features that we've developed, really. So you'll have like websites out there. You've got things like BJJ Finder or BJJ Camp Finder, I think is one of them, like one of the more widely used ones. But that's really specifically for camps. You've got, your athletes will put out websites and stuff like that, but you've got to go in and self-serve and all that sort of thing. Yeah. So what we tried to build, and when I say we, it's mainly me and, an old colleague of mine. So what we tried to build was really a hub, like a marketplace for seminars. So regardless, who you are, whether you're just starting out or whether you're actually, 10, 20 years into your journey, we want to create something for everyone. And we've tried to centralize everything on the app, essentially.
Yeah, nice.
I've got a background in IT, so I've been working in IT for the last 12 years. So what I've tried to do is bring all of that expertise and bring it to the world of jiu-jitsu, because I think it was a huge gap in the market, and I think it still is, to be honest, until we really push the brand out there, the app out there, and get it to where it needs to be. And we're doing very well. We've only been live 7 months, and we've got some really good names and some good numbers on there today. But as you guys know, you're practitioners. It's the sport is growing,
mm-hmm.
so we need to put in place the network and the sort of support mechanisms to help that sport grow and to help everyday practitioners. So that's what I'm trying to do, basically.
Yeah, perfect. And just to clarify, you're not just an IT guy, you are a jiu-jitsu practitioner as well?
I'm also a jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Nice. And you just mentioned you just got your purple belt recently?
Just got my purple belt this Wednesday, which I've got mixed feelings about. I've been training for 4 years. Every time you get an upgrade, it's always like a bit of imposter syndrome, right? So, I'm very happy. Very happy. Mixed feelings. Haven't rolled yet as a purple belt, so...
We will later.
Yeah, maybe we will later. That'd be good.
Stress test you, mate.
Yeah, that'd be good. I'll enjoy some of that. Yeah.
That'd be good. So obviously you're doing jiu-jitsu and you've maybe seen something that's kind of like ignited this thought about this product. So what was that moment? Like where did the idea come from?
Yeah, so like I said, I've been training for 4 years and I wasn't really familiar with the whole seminar concept when I started, like probably not a lot of people are.
Yeah.
So I wasn't, I just went to my school. I was Gracie Baha at the time in Bristol, Staple Hill. And I used to just go to my classes and everything. But I just got really addicted to the sport. And I'm sure you guys, know exactly what that's like, just hitting it hard. I was going like 6-7 times a week as much as I could when my kids were like really young. So just getting out of the house as much as possible. Thankfully, my partner is very supportive of everything. So I started discovering there were seminars going on. And I was like, right, well, where do we find out about these seminars? And, the general consensus was go to these athletes' web pages, talk to the gyms, go and create your own network, Google it online. You've got the Facebook groups and you've maybe got Reddit posts and things like that. But nothing centralized. And so that grew out of a frustration of a missed seminar. So Giancarlo Bodini was in Bristol because he was competing on the, I think it was Polaris 25 in Abbey Vale. So he was just around and doing a few seminars. He'd done some in London, he'd done some in Bristol. And obviously, that team's very big. Everyone knows who they all are. You don't want to miss up an opportunity to train with them, right? Or to learn from them. Being Gracie Baha, I assumed that all of their network would, communicate with each other and let each other know who was coming, when and how. But we didn't know. We didn't have a clue. So I just thought, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to take my IT skills and I'm just going to build something because it was kind of like a selfish decision, but also at the same time, I saw a gap in the market. I saw that there was an opportunity there. And I legitimately just, it's a passion of mine. So I kind of tried to pull it all together and get something out there. Yeah,
nice. Well, that's how many great businesses start though, mate, trying to solve a problem.
Yeah.
So that's good. All right. So let's get into the app a little bit then. So
yeah.
So you've given us obviously a high level kind of description of what it is.
Yeah.
But let's sort of delve a little bit deeper in regard to, I guess, the functions and how it applies to maybe, the athlete, the club and the end user or the practitioner.
Yeah. So perhaps I'll start with like the kind of idea and the theory behind it, right? So we all know triangles, not the submission specifically, but there are triangles all around jiu-jitsu. So I took that concept and I kind of thought about it and I said, right, you've got 3 pillars to any successful event, successful seminar. You've got the athletes, which kind of, if you imagine the triangle, I've got the athletes at the top. And then you've got the gyms, which is, your venue in the bottom corner. And in the other corner, you've got your practitioners and your attendees. So I've tried to design, and we're continuously trying to design an experience for each one of those profiles, as it were, because we've got 3 separate profiles in the app. An athlete will have a slightly separate experience and a slightly separate requirement to a gym or venue owner, right? And likewise, a practitioner or an attendee, he doesn't need to know what the athlete needs to know, so he's got a slightly different experience as well. So the kind of USP of the app, I guess, and which is actually patent pending at the moment and trademarked, is the kind of maps feature. Essentially, an athlete has a view of a map in front of them, which is just taken from Google Maps. We're using the APIs, and end users, so attendees, will swipe on the athlete profile.
Did see that bit. I thought it was a bit like Tinder.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah,
not that I've ever used Tinder, anyone.
No, me neither, of course. I actually met my missus on there, but anyway, that's another story. So essentially, the athletes have this view of this map. when your regular practitioner logs in, creates an account, they're presented with these tiles of these athletes, and they can swipe left or right if they're interested. Like you said, similar to Tinder in terms of functionality. And what I've tried to do there is make sure that it's gamified, so it's it's engaging and you can get all of these things. I mean, it's very early days and we're building it out as we go. But the athlete essentially then sees these users' location on a world map. So it's an approximate location, it's not an exact location, but it'll give you a good idea of exactly where there's demand for seminars or for training partners, or for one-to-ones, as it were. And that's what the app is really built around, is geolocating demand. And I think that's what sets it apart from anything else, is that an athlete has the power to look at his app, his world map, literally around the world, wherever he might be, and see, right, I've got 100 people in Plymouth today who are interested in a seminar. Therefore, I'm going to schedule one, which you can do directly in the app, and it sends push notification to all of the users who are following you.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So basically so I'm an athlete.
Yeah.
I wish, but hypothetically I was an athlete.
Yeah.
I'd create a profile, I'd sign up to the app, and then the kind of end user or the everyday jiu-jitsu practitioner who's looking for a seminar would go through, like on Tinder, swipe. Yeah, I'll do a seminar with that person, not with that person, swipe.
That's it, yeah.
And then the athlete, me, could then see how many swipes I've had in a particular location.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And because, these things aren't always sure, right? When you create a seminar, there's always a bit of doubt. How many people am I going to get?
Yeah.
Is it going to be fulfilled? So we've got a second step in there, which is those people who have swiped on your profile. Once you get that notification, you can say whether you would actually be interested. So interested, not interested. So then you get a second set of KPIs or metrics to tell you, right, I know that out of my 100 people, I know that 75% of those people will be interested. Therefore, I'm going to go ahead and schedule it. So then you just move the status. I mean, I'm getting like really nitty gritty here,
good.
but
Yeah,
I'm kind of playing it through my mind. You move the status of the app from pending to confirmed and live, and then another notification goes out, and everyone's basically told, yeah, let's get ready, come and pay here.
And they pay it through the app as well.
So yeah, we've got an integration with Stripe, so you can pay it through the app.
Yeah, and then in regard to the host or the club, because historically, as we know, seminars will be arranged by a club.
By the clubs, yeah.
And typically the members will get maybe preferential rates.
Yeah.
Some clubs will maybe make it like no outside a seminar.
Yeah.
But these days I think it's much better. So usually it's then available to non-members at maybe a slightly higher rate.
Yeah.
So if I'm a club owner, how does that work?
So the gym profile or the club profile is really very new. So when you just launched it about 2 months ago, what you have today is just a chat functionality. So just chatting back and forth with the athletes. The conversation can only be started by the athlete because obviously they've got the view of where the demand is. So through the map, again, you can actually see there's an icon for the gym. So you can click on the gym, opens up a chat and says, hi, I'd really like to have a seminar. And then there's a back and forth around how it's managed. That's only the, step one. So we're going to integrate some AI features in there. I'm calling them AI. I've been working in AI for a while. We're just putting we're going to put some automations in there based on some, thresholds. So for example, how much the athlete is willing to pay, how much the gym wants to make from it. And it will all be very automated, which takes a lot of awkwardness out because that back and forth is what I think is a barrier to setting these things up, at least from from the conversations I've been having with people. So we just want to get all that, bureaucracy and back and forth just out the way and just get it.
Is there not a way where you could sign up, just effectively sign gyms up, go around, sign gyms up for a flat fee? And then
there's a way of doing that.
Do you get what I mean? And then the gyms know exactly what they're kind of getting. Yeah. And then you could then sign the athletes up straight. You know what I mean? So it's like if they have a seminar, they're getting X amount for it. Yeah. Then the athletes get that X amount. I don't know. Seems like a real
It's a strategy around monetization, right? So I guess where we are today is I'm not doing this for the money. Realistically, right now, for me, it's about getting a platform that works, that's functional and scalable out there. I haven't made any money from it yet at all, but that's okay, because it's like a passion project. It's like you guys with this, right? You do it because you enjoy it, and then one day, eventually, it'll pay off. And that's how it is with tech platforms. So today we make £2.50 from each ticket sale, but that really only just covers the hosting fees of the app.
Expensive,
Yeah, I mean, it gets expensive, but because I've worked in IT and I've got a good network, I'm able to cut corners. Bootstrap is what you call it. You call it bootstrapping. So whereas the companies that I contract with, they're spending millions and hundreds of thousands of pounds on data storage, I can get away with spending £5 a month on these things because I know how to connect it all. So yeah, there's that. So being profitable isn't our main goal as of yet. It's more about building up the app, getting that buy-in, getting that network, and then going from there.
Yeah, I wonder, how do you manage like the kind of money discussion between the clubs and the athlete? Because through the podcast, we've like helped our club organise quite a lot of seminars.
Yeah.
And, there's some athletes that will go, right, this is a flat fee.
Yeah.
There's other athletes will go, this is the ticket price that I charge. And others, which has been quite good for us, where they'll say just a 90-10 split.
Yeah.
Where it kind of removes the risk for the host.
Exactly.
It's still a very good percentage for the athlete. So it's kind of win-win, but there's like no risk.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you kind of manage that part of the discussion? Is that done in that chat?
So that will be done right now. It's done on a one-to-one basis, but the future development is going to be exactly that. So once you create a profile, it's going to say, right, how much are you comfortable with spending as a percentage or as a fixed fee for the gym? And then vice versa, the gym owners will have the same question, and then whichever is highest or lowest will be automatically negotiated and sent across, basically.
Yeah.
So the highest, if there's a bunch of rules in there, a bunch of rule sets, the rule set's already created, we just create in the function. If the gym demand is lower than the highest fee that the athlete is willing to pay, then it'll default to the gym's amount.
Okay.
So it always go to the lowest factor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And in a lot of cities, there's obviously rivalries between clubs.
Yeah.
Sometimes some real fucking stupid politics, and cross-training rules and all that sort of nonsense.
Yeah. We can get onto that later, I'm sure, with my training background.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But just thinking of a scenario where, I don't know, Club A in a city doesn't get on with Club B. Club A, all their practitioners are on the app and they're swiping away.
Yeah.
The athlete then goes, oh, this is good, but then contacts Club B. How do you mitigate that as a problem?
It's not my problem to mitigate, realistically. The market will decide for itself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go and play politics with people. What it should do is it should incentivize Club A and Club B to join the app to be able to host seminars with the athletes.
Yeah. Is it like a functionality where the athlete could see maybe not just the amount of demand in an area, but also like the club in which the demand's coming from? Is that something the app can do?
Yeah, so that you can do already.
Okay, great.
You can.
So that's kind of a mitigation already then, isn't it? Because the athlete can see where the club is at least.
It's geolocation though, right?
Yeah.
So you have a heat map. Yeah. So you see like green and red colors basically. And then the gym locations themselves who've signed up are actually positioned on the map. So yeah, you might have a cloud of activity over here, but actually, this is the gym that wants to organize something.
Yeah.
But then at the last minute, you might have a little tiny local gym who's decided to sign up. And maybe the athlete, because the power is in the hands of the athlete to choose where he hosts his seminar.
Yeah.
And we're going to open that up to the gym owners as well.
Yeah.
So that they can interact with the athletes proactively.
Yeah.
And that will do some of the mitigation as well.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking about it's trying to avoid this situation where an athlete thinks there's a demand in a city and then obviously signs up to a club.
Yeah.
And the club are like, yeah, great. So-and-so athletes just contacted me for a seminar. Go on then. Yeah. Why not? And then the athlete goes, but actually the man was from another club who aren't allowed to attend at this club because of some bullshit.
Yeah, well, I think that's bullshit.
It is bullshit. But it happens though, right? And it's just about protecting the athlete a little bit in that situation as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. We're getting very close to that political discussion, aren't we? It's,
does it really matter though, if as long as he's getting the numbers there effectively? He would know once he goes there how many people were attending.
Yeah, you would know.
He would know before he's going, roughly what he's doing.
Tickets would be purchased through.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you're not getting paid after, you're actually getting paid. So the money is held in escrow on the Matador app. So you're not waiting to go, and get get paid from the place. So you know what the numbers are. You can literally see your payout as it's being built.
That's really cool.
Yeah, both from a gym perspective and from a athlete perspective.
Yeah, that's fine. That completely kind of solves that problem. Then,
there's a live tracking. I mean, it solves the kind of transparency problem.
Yeah.
It doesn't solve the problem of the bullshit that we're talking about.
No, and I don't think any app will, mate, to be fair. So that's fine. I was just interested in case athletes are watching this, just to make it clear that they were protected.
Yeah.
But I guess if you can see that in advance, then that's great. How about if an athlete thinks they're onto a winner with a club, they sign up to a seminar.
Yeah.
2 days before they look and there's like barely anybody booked in, barely anybody paid, and they're like, it's not worth my time, I want to pull the plug. Is there a penalty or anything for that?
No penalties.
Okay.
No. That would, and anything like that would just be agreed with between the athlete and the gym.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to provide is really a platform for self-service. That's what's scalable. That's what works. And I don't want to have to
just middleman.
Yeah. I don't really want a middleman. I'm creating a service, and it's a free service that people can just use. What I found in my career is that anything that you can scale, it's called software as a service, the industry that I work in. If you can scale a software as a service without getting involved, without putting too much support or security rails in place, then you're onto a winner. And I think that's the goal for the app, is to put it out there, get the feedback, build it up, and then we'll just, provide support as and when we need to.
Okay. And then just thinking about, I guess, some similar apps, like, I don't know, Uber, for example, feels like a bit of a similar app in some ways.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Is there going to be like, I don't know, like a rating?
Have you looked at my pitch deck by any chance? Because
No.
there's, I did some really deep market analysis before going into this. So Uber's one of them. Tinder's the other one. Cvent and Eventbrite.
I was about to say Eventbrite a minute ago.
So you take all of those those industries, which are really outstanding in their domain. They're really high achieving platforms. In terms of numbers and repeat, custom, etc. All of the kind of driving metrics. So we've tried to emulate some experience from all of those. Essentially taking some inspiration from them. Yeah,
I'm just wondering if, and I don't know if this would be a good or a bad feature, but obviously with Uber, both parties involved in that transaction can rate the other.
Yeah.
Is that something that you're considering for the app?
So yes, a couple of athletes have actually reached out and said we should have a rating system in place.
100%.
Yeah. And I think we should probably extend that to gyms as well.
Yeah.
I just need to be very careful about how that comes across, because I don't want it to be detrimental necessarily to some gyms. I think we just got to plan that through quite carefully.
That's the only thing in it. It's like, it's great that they would host you, but what you're going to rate them on, like facilities or, it's maybe you just rate them on how they are as people. You know what I mean? Like the service they've offered, not the facilities. Because some jiu-jitsu gyms are fairly small. Yeah. So it's like unfair. Like if we go to Flow later, it's probably one of the best places in the country. It's unbelievable facility. Whereas, we train at some other places and it's a room, some mats. You know what I mean? So
oftentimes they're really good gyms.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not detrimental. It's not detrimental to the actual gym. It's just their facilities are not as good. Doesn't mean they're a worse gym. So again, it's like if you start rating it, if someone's like visiting a gym, they're like, oh, it's a bit of a shithole. Yeah. But like they have like really friendly people there and good practitioners. It's a bit shit to give them like a 2-star rating. Yeah. So it could completely agree. Maybe just on like service or something. Yeah. So that's why we just got to think about it. And people like, this goes back to kind of my day job as well. Like people never. If you've had an average experience, you're not going to go in and log that average experience. No. If you had a really shit experience, you're going to go in and give it a 1-star and just fucking, destroy them online. Yeah. If you've had a great experience, you're going to 5-star them and be like, right, really recommend the service. So you tend to just get, massive detractors or massive promoters. So we just got to think about that a little bit. I think the big thing is if you was to do that is not to really worry about the gyms that they're done at as much. I think it's just more about the athletes. Yeah. Like the like for example, like Dan Strauss seminar. Superb. 10, it was 10 out of 10. It was like the most well-structured seminar I've ever been to. It's fantastic. Nice. Fantastic, wasn't it? It was like, he had it all choreographed, start to finish, didn't stop. amazing. It was really good.
Yeah,
and
he's a great guy.
You know, you can have other seminars where it's like kind of like, you know, it's still good and they're showing you a technique, but it's not as choreographed. It's not as like you can tell some people haven't done it as much, whatever. And it's not like against the athletes. It's just kind of their experience level maybe at doing it.
Yeah.
So again, that should be rated. You know what I mean? A little bit, because
For sure.
like, would I pay good money to go into another Dan Strauss one? 100%.
Nice.
Like I wouldn't even consider it. If someone said to me it's like 60 quid, 70 quid, I'd probably pay it. Because what did we do? We done Mount last time, didn't we?
Yeah.
Tax from Mount.
Yeah, we're crushing people from Mount.
Yeah, and it's great. And I still use a lot of that stuff.
A few times.
And like, and again, like he does like a back attack one and all sorts of different ones. But if he was doing like another tour and it was a different seminar, I'd be like, yeah, fucking 100%.
But I think this is also where like that could also then inform like the fees that people can
exactly
sort of charge
that
as well.
Yeah, you are right, and that's kind of the approach as well. But definitely the athletes first. I mean, we've got other options. We can feed in Google reviews, so we can feed those in for the gyms as well. So we're not like stuck into this one route. We've got a few options, and the good thing is because there's literally 3 of us, right? One full time, which is me, with my other activities. We can move quite fast on these things. We can make changes quite swiftly.
Yeah, it's really good. I love the idea though. Like it's so good.
Yeah,
like, it's so good. I think once everyone's got it on their phone, I think it'll be super easy to do.
That's what we're aiming for. I think, there's definitely room for it. And I think, as a sport, it needs to mature. The sport needs to mature. When you look at other sports out there, there's just so much available there.
Yeah, I think another feature that could be quite good, and it may again be something that you're already working on. But if I was a club or a coach of a team, obviously coaches, athletes will have strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
So I might be a coach who maybe aren't great in a particular position. Let's say it's leg locks.
Yeah.
So I need a seminar specifically for someone who's really good at leg locks.
Yeah.
Is there an ability for me as a coach or a gym owner to go on there and go like filter, search athletes who are specializing in a particular thing, and then almost like reach out to them?
So we have the metadata for that. So we've already actually pre-built that in. We just haven't created the filtering. So as soon as you sign up as a user, you're prompted with what disciplines you have. We've actually got a further breakdown of those in the database. Leg locks, chokes, back escapes, side control, all these kinds of things, positions, turtle. So one of the future deployments is going to be exactly that. Search by specific skill set, specific sport, etc. So you can filter it down.
Yeah.
Because we had very few athletes to start with. I mean, we've got over 120 on there now.
120?
Yeah.
Wow, mate.
Yeah, got 120 athletes on there, and I'm still announcing a few. Just announced number 2 yesterday. It's growing well. But because there weren't so many athletes on there at first, it made no sense to add that feature in now, because you're just not going to get anyone. Yeah. So we're going to build that in later on. But it's definitely on the roadmap. Yeah,
nice. And are there any other sort of features that you currently don't have available that you're going to be introducing later?
There's loads. I mean, if you were to look at the app today, it's literally a V1. Come back to it a year down the line, it's going to be a completely different app. So the next integration is going to be one-to-one calendar integration. So you're going to be able to book directly one-to-ones with athletes. So rather than focusing on the big seminar, you can then focus on that one-to-one activity.
Okay.
That's a request from a fair few athletes.
Yeah.
The other ones, I mean, there's more like techie stuff that I want to do with it later down the line, but I don't really want to talk about it too soon.
Yeah, we are talking to Jiu-Jitsu people. Maybe we don't want to switch them off too much. I know.
Yeah.
That's fine. I mean, so tell us about some of the athletes that you've already got on there.
We've got a lot of names. To start with Dan Strauss, actually, interestingly enough. So Dan and I were in conversations very early on, and he had an issue with setting up his profile. I'm not quite sure how it happened, but he's not technically on there, but he kind of, I'm sure, is around somewhere. But that's just one British name. I mean, we've got a lot of ex-UFC people. We've got Mike Grundy on there.
We've interviewed Mike.
We've had him on.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, really cool.
Got a lot of time for him. And his white belts are fucking incredible. So I rolled with them about a year ago, and they were doing all sorts of things to me that I did not think was possible from a white belt. So some very good quality training up there. Who else we got? Dean Lister, a big name. got Roy Dean, another kind of big name. We touched on that earlier. We've got Marcin Macielewicz, we've got Ash Williams. I could just rattle off names. We've got quite a good few names on there now.
Nice. And the initial feedback from those guys that have started seeing seminar business through the app has been positive?
Yeah, really good. So we're actually about to release a couple of ads or reels. We've got our first sort of inaugural fight camp happening in Swansea, CRA, 3rd to 5th of May. So some of those names are, we've got Roy Dean, we've got Dean Lister, Marcin Macielewicz, the Polish Punisher, and Ash Williams will be there as well because it's his gym. So May 3rd to 5th. So that's Matador specifically organised. So the format's slightly different. For the rest of the seminars, so Dean Lister, for example, put his global sort of tour, his European tour, through it last year. Good feedback. Implemented some changes based on the feedback. I think, with these things, you just got to make it super user friendly. You got to reduce the amount of clicks. You got to make sure that people know how to use it.
Yeah.
And that's what this year's been about, really. The first year's really been about making a case for it, making sure that there's a market there for it, and then building it from there. And I think I've proved the concept now, to myself at least. And it's worth pursuing and continuing to grow, really.
Yeah, nice, mate. And the name, where did the name come from?
Right, so I had two names. I had Matt Mentor.
Okay.
And I had Matador.
Okay.
So Matt Mentor obviously kind of makes sense, the mentor for the mats.
Yeah.
But then I thought it was probably more like gym orientated. Yeah. I think I own both domains, actually. But the Matador app was... Obviously, there's a play on words. You're on the mat. Matador being a bullfighter. There was just some themes there that kind of resonated with me.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole load of thought process. Essentially, really, it was just kind of like, right, I want the word mat in there. I want it to be one word. There was a bit of back and forth, but I made the decision fairly quickly.
Yeah.
I try to work on an 80-20 rule. If you've got 80% of the information and you're missing the 20%, then just make a decision and move. What's that term? Paralysis
for analysis.
Yeah. So I try to avoid that a lot. But just get it out there, just get it done, put it out there, see what happens, fail fast, and move forward.
Yeah, nice. Tell us a bit more about the camp. You kind of just obviously mentioned it briefly there, but give us a bit more detail about what that is.
Yeah. So essentially, what we're trying to do is get opportunities for practitioners that you wouldn't necessarily get elsewhere. So yes, you can go and do these big camps, but they'll cost you like 500, 600, 700 quid upwards of £1,000. What I'm trying to do with this app is make a achievable, realistic, and affordable experience for people. Through swiping and matching with the athletes and local gyms, but also we're doing 4 camps a year. That's what we're aiming to do. So our price points are like really reasonable, £200 for 3 days.
It's a bargain.
Yeah, 8 hours with each of the athletes. So we've changed up the format completely. So between 6 and 8 hours with the athletes. I've been very specific around that format because we've all attended seminars, and although you're probably tired by the end of your 2 hours, actually having that time to debrief, Q&A, talk about things like you were mentioning earlier about Dan Strauss's structured seminars. That's the format. I think is really important, especially when it comes to like knowledge transfer and those kinds of things. So they start at 11 a.m. We provide lunch. You do an hour of kind of theory practice, an hour of like positional sparring, then another hour of technique, and then you do some rolling at the end, and then Q&A, photos, and all the good stuff.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, I've really tried to create a different experience as well. So that's what we're looking for. It's going to be our first one. We're really looking forward to it. You guys should come.
Yeah, we'll try and make it. When is it?
3rd to 5th of May this year.
Yeah.
Bank holiday.
What was it? Is that Saturday?
When are you competing?
Friday, Saturday. Is it Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, Ikigai.
Yeah, it's Ikigai 6 weekends.
That's all right. We're streaming it as well. So if you guys want to stream
I could come to the day before.
Yeah.
comes the day before, and then
Don't need you resting up though, mate, don't we?
I'll go light, mate.
Yeah, I've made that mistake before. Rolling too hard before comp.
Oh, it's a 5K comp, mate. So it's got to be like you got to be rested going into it. That's what
Oh yeah.
some killers, mate.
No, we'll send you the streaming link.
Yeah, okay.
That's what we'll do.
Yeah, and you said it was in Swansea in South Wales, right?
Swansea, South Wales. Yeah. So I live in Wales. I'm kind of an adopted Welsh person. Been living there a long time now. And that's the other thing is that because we're UK based, I like to try and focus on the UK.
Yeah.
You know, first and foremost, some of the athletes that we're sponsoring, like all of the athletes that we're sponsoring are British. So we've got Sula Melo-Anthor, who's on there, Ash Williams and Owen Livesey. You probably saw our logo on his shorts during CJI.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got him out there.
Louis deserted us now, isn't he? He's in Thailand now.
He's in Thailand, yeah. His wife's on the app as well, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll probably shout some names around who come out through this talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's out in Thailand. So we've got him booked in for September 14th as well this year for another one of our camps. Haven't confirmed exactly who's going to be there yet, but I try to plan in advance because, again, making it affordable, right? Like 200 quid might seem like a fairly reasonable price point for some people, but for other people it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that's why we're getting ahead of it, 4 or 5 months ahead. And we're open to giving people options for payments as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, so that's what I'm really trying to achieve is make quality training with world-class athletes at affordable prices, basically.
Yeah, love it, mate. The app sounds great.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
it's really early days. I mean, we're really early days. So it's V1. Sign up, have a look, give us some feedback, and in another year it will be a completely different place.
Yeah, nice. Cool. So we obviously mentioned at the start that you were purple belt. Purple belt, training for 4 years.
Sounds surreal. Yeah.
And obviously, that 4 years is, in the grand scheme of things, is relatively new in the sport, I guess. But,
yeah, I'd say so.
But if you're going to be potentially the next Mark Zuckerberg of Jiu-Jitsu, then we should probably get to know you a little bit as well.
I mean, that's quite a statement. I'd rather be the Elon Musk, but that's okay. I'll take.
Do you know what? I would have agreed until I listened to Zuck on Joe Rogan's recently, and he's changed a lot, mate. Jiu-Jitsu has sorted him right out. And
even his dude's looking pretty cool now, mate.
He looks like a real person, doesn't he?
He's nearly 40 as well, which I didn't realise. You know what I mean? Like, and he looks like he looks like a normal person again. He looked like a fucking alien at one point, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Now he's back to reality. It feels like doing a bit of jiu-jitsu for a few years in MMA. He did need it, yeah, he did need it. Like, I love it that he's got rid of all that woke stuff and all that in meta, and everyone's just going back to normal, like just not being fucking crazy.
Over fact-checkers.
Do you know what I mean?
For sure, man.
Just going back to fucking normal.
All right, well, Elon, Mark, whoever we end up manifesting into.
Yeah, cool.
You also mentioned about obviously politics, and you mentioned that you trained at GB, and we've had a couple of discussions about GB previously.
Yeah.
So maybe tell us about your kind of initial entry into Jiu-Jitsu and go from there.
Well, I might take it back before I started Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah,
I've always kind of been involved in combat sports in some way or another. So I was brought up in France. I lived in France until I was 10. I am British, but my first language was French. And in school in France, their curriculum, they actually have judo in school. And just on the way down, I was trying to think back to what other sports we did, but we did boxing as well in primary school.
Really?
Yeah, we did boxing.
You knew the French were such badasses.
Yeah, so it was slightly different. What they would do is tie you up with an elastic band to like the edge of the ring,
right?
So that you couldn't just go in and like mollywallop each other.
Okay.
You go in, get a couple of smacks in, and then be like pulled back.
That sounds weird as fuck.
But it was quite fun.
But it was, yeah,
it was
especially
good fun. But then the judo was pretty regular as far as I can remember. I can't remember like how long I did it for, but I remember going to judo classes like fairly regularly with school. So I guess that was kind of, those movements were ingrained quite early on, and kind of shaped, I think, my outlets later on, which were always sort of sports orientated and more geared towards the extreme sports. So I was a skateboarder for a long time as well, jumping sets of stairs and all that sort of stuff. So I was always geared towards that that sort of way. But yeah, so I did a lot of boxing as well as a teenager until about 18, and then I moved back to France So sorry, did I tell you that I came back to the UK when I was 10? Right, so let's start there. So I lived in France until I was 10, came back to the UK until I was 20, and then moved back to France to go to university. So at that point, pretty much all the sports stopped. I was focused on my career, getting my degree, just trying to become a career guy, really. Fast forward 10 years down the line, I've built a bit of a career in IT. I'd had my first child, and August 2021 is when I started, or May, it was around that time, May, June, July, August, around summer 2021 that I started Jiu-Jitsu for real. I put my daughter in it first, and it was kind of an excuse to sort of get into it myself, because I've always been a massive UFC fan, and I always thought, right, I've got some experience with stand-up stuff. I have no idea what happens on the ground. Like I had no idea. You know, I could do like foot sweeps and stuff, and like, you know, the old like shoulder throw or hip bump, you know, hip throw. But I had no idea what all the submission game was about. So I got involved, and I just got massively addicted straight away, as I'm sure, you know, everyone does. Gracie Barra is where I started. Gracie Barra, Staple Hill, Bristol.
Yeah.
And yeah, I stayed there for 2 and a bit years until I moved back to Wales. And now I train in BJJ Wimbledon, London. That's my kind of home gym.
Yeah, okay.
So that's where I was promoted as well. But going back to what we were saying earlier, I tried to train everywhere. You know, I've always got a gi in the car. I've always, you know, got my no-gi stuff if I can. And I think that's where you learn, you know? If you're stuck in one mentality, one approach, you're going to get really good at that, but you're going to ignore the rest of the game. And the whole political thing just frustrates me. I just try not to buy into it.
Yeah.
A lot of people are really diehard in that sort of world, but it's just stupid from my perspective. It really makes no sense.
Yeah, I almost feel like it depends like what entry point you have as a person into jiu-jitsu as to whether you buy into that bullshit or not.
Yeah.
I think if you're either like really young and you go in and start jiu-jitsu and get really kind of like, you know, influenced by maybe an instructor who's that way inclined.
You can say brainwashed, mate.
What's that?
You can say brainwashed.
Well, it's very culty. It is brainwashing behavior, essentially.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, you've got to be really careful with it, because if you've got some people who are maybe a bit more fragile or that way inclined, like it could easily be seen as like...
It is 100%.
Culty, brainwashy stuff. Having said that, on the flip side, I think there are some good aspects to that, right? So we've got to be fair. I think the community vibe that goes with that, because I certainly felt that, the community vibe is very strong. But then, you know, you'll listen to the podcast and they'll say that, you know, PTSD after leaving a cult is real as well. So you have to be careful with these things. I certainly experienced that as a GB person. I wouldn't say it was overwhelmingly there, but it was there.
But I wonder if, you know, I think you got the young people, and you've also got maybe the adults who don't have much else going on outside of jiu-jitsu, like no other real status. And I find those groups of people are the ones that really get wrapped up in it. And I wonder if you came in, you know, sort of university educated, career, you know, maybe a couple of kids at this point. I think, well, you obviously one at least.
Yeah.
But you've obviously come in with like some knowledge of like other shit in the world, right? And therefore maybe you just didn't get into it as deep as others might, perhaps. I don't know. Yeah,
I didn't buy into the whole political thing. And because I travel a lot for work, for me, it just wasn't realistic, you know. I was working in Switzerland on a contract, and I had to, you know, I was training there, you know, and then I'd go back and I'd be like, hey, I learned this. Or, you know, Belgium, I worked a lot in Spain. So you just train where you can.
Yeah.
And then you'd go back and report, oh, I learned this in this place. And it's like, oh, well, you shouldn't really cross-train. Oh, okay.
That's what they said?
Well, no, but that's the vibe, right?
Would they just be offish with you, or was it like...
Well, it was more around, okay, that's great. Let's not talk about that again. It's like, okay, fine. Well,
is that what they'd be like?
Yeah, sometimes. And I think it's a shame, because overall, I would say that the foundations are solid at GB. I think that the kids program is awesome. It's really good for children. I think there's some really great values there.
See, that's what I find incredible, because most people that we talk to say the same thing.
Yeah.
That their actual jiu-jitsu and what they offer as a club, as an organisation, is always really fucking good. But then they got this weird, like, culty clique where they don't want anyone to. It's like they want to hold it so tight that they end up pushing more people away.
Yeah.
And I think if they realise that with the business structure they've got, they'd probably be even bigger. Do you get what I mean? Like instead of like you know, we've semi-experienced that sort of stuff as well, and it's like, you know, it kind of my personality is like if someone's like that towards me, I think like fuck you. I just think like it makes me want to do it more.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like it makes me want to do it more because I just think
type.
well, it's just being like a normal adult. I think like you know,
Don't
you're a grown man telling me
yeah.
like what to do. Like I can train my friends at a different gym if I fucking want to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, you know, it's just fucking weird.
I think
you know what I mean?
There's elements though, right? There's layers to this. So I think you have to respect your professor. You know, you have to respect the kind of, because it's martial arts at the end of the day, right? There's a inherent respect there, and I think that's important. But that doesn't play into your personal time. What happens outside the gym has nothing to do with your gym, in my opinion, unless you make it part of the gym's business.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that's where the lines need to be drawn.
See, like even though like even you just saying professor there, like I'd never say that.
I'll call him professor.
But that's because of like probably how you started.
That's how I started,
and we would never do that.
I don't mind professor so much because I just think of like an academic institution where you would call somebody with like a really in-depth knowledge of a topic a professor in something. What I wouldn't call them is a master.
I wouldn't call him professor, mate. I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't say professor fucking so-and-so. I just can't. I wouldn't do it. Fair enough, they're really good at jiu-jitsu, but he's just some fucking Brazilian dude that's
how about if you were at like university and there was a Professor Jones?
I wouldn't go to university, mate, clearly.
I've moved away from it a little bit. I'm falling into the coach. Hey coach.
Yeah.
But it does feel a little bit wrong.
I understand it, and I don't judge anyone that does it. I just always find it a bit like, I don't know, a bit odd.
Yeah, to be fair, I say that I've never actually trained anywhere where there was a professor.
Maybe like I'd call maybe like Hodger or something professor if he really then he was going to choke me and beat me.
Whatever
exactly. That's what I mean. Like he's going to choke me and beat it. So maybe someone like that. But I don't know. I'm always a bit weird with it. At the end of the day, they're good at jiu-jitsu and they seem like nice guys. But at the end of the day, they're just a bloke. Right? They're a bloke in fucking pajamas. You know. That's it. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Outside of that, a lot of them are not much.
But I think you are seeing more of like, you know, you've obviously got the traditional martial arts crowd.
Yeah.
Where you know, it's, you know, sort of mostly gi. It's, you know, all these kind of like traditional terminologies.
Yeah.
Bowing, all that sort of stuff, the uniform. And then you've kind of obviously got the kind of the combat sport crowd where it's a bit more of like a wrestling room feel, and that's where you get your coach.
Yeah.
And that's where that seems to come to. And I think that seems to be becoming more and more popular now.
I think so, yeah. So that's exactly my journey in jiu-jitsu. Is I started off very much traditional, very much the bow, the professor, the handshake, the, you know, motivational speech at the end of class. Yeah. But also that comes from judo as well. So for me, it wasn't unfamiliar. Like as a kid, that was just sort of normal in France as well. That was very judo-like. So I just kind of fell into it naturally. But now I'm training at a catch wrestling school, basically, up in London.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What's that like?
It's good. Like it, yeah. Carl Fisher is my professor.
Carl Fisher?
Yeah.
Is he a Northern bloke?
Northern Monkey. That's
I
it.
met him in Thailand about
there you go.
12 years ago, actually.
There you go. So Carl Fisher, yeah. So he promoted me to purple.
Okay, wow.
So I met him incidentally like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And then at some random seminar in some random martial arts festival somewhere, which sounds worse than it actually was. It was actually really, really good. It was really good. We did have there was some dodgy shit there, but yeah, Carl's legit.
So it was a martial arts seminar?
It was a martial arts festival. So
you had some Tai Chi there, did you?
No, we had.
A bit of,
no, there wasn't any Tai Chi, but there was.
Master, whatever.
What's that with? Eskrima?
Oh, is that the sticks?
No, it's
fucking Eskrima?
It's like you like move your body around and avoid the.
Oh, capoeira.
No, capoeira is the dancing stuff, isn't it? Capoeira. No, he's on about like where you've seen it. That's what I watched the video this morning. They
the touch them, shit, you know.
They flick him off. That's Tai Chi, isn't it? That's Tai Chi.
No, that's what MVP was doing to Darren.
That's it.
The UFC event recently.
Yeah, so there was. They call it a screamer, I think.
Right. Okay.
Or a steamer, something like that.
Okay.
But it looks like fucking horseshit, to be honest.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, I've got some videos of it because I was just telling the lads.
I just always feel sorry for the poor bastards that are like paying these people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like thinking that they're going to get some sort of self-defense from this, and then one day they're going to like think it's so dangerous, mate. 'Cause
It's dangerous.
People can get really cocky thinking that they can defend themselves, then all of a sudden, like, bang.
Yeah.
Well, you're fucked.
Like all of us, right? I thought I was pretty hard until I started jiu-jitsu. I thought like no one can mess with me, and then I got like pretzeled by a little like Polish kid who was like 70 kilos when I was like much heavier than him.
Yeah, mate, I think we've all been there.
Yeah, we've all been
I got
there.
fucked up by him when I first started, mate. Like, it done my head in. I was
Yeah.
like 3 stone heavier than him, and he just guillotined me about 100 times over and over again, you know?
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, okay.
That's where the growth is though, you know, challenge yourself every time.
Yeah. And again, I think it's that thing, isn't it? It either like makes you want to do more and learn, or it either makes you, it kills the ego, it kills your ego, and you're like, I never want to do that again.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to pretend that part of those people don't exist. Do you know what I mean? You get those people, don't you? Like, they just don't exist. You know what I mean? Jiu-jitsu don't work or whatever. Yeah, right, mate.
No, every time I get messed up, it just pushes me even harder. I was telling a story to the lads the other day. When I first got my blue belt, I went to try and pull guard, which I don't do anymore, on a brown belt. I couldn't even fucking pull guard on him. Like literally, like the most basic of things I couldn't do. And that's when I, amped the training up even harder then. And it's just like, gotta go with this.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. And then when you transitioned from sort of traditional to where you are now, was that because of just moving with work, or did you make a decision to leave?
It was just moving with work.
Yeah.
Yeah. My initial plan was actually to stay at school, but it just wasn't realistic because I'm traveling so much. It just doesn't work. I stay up in London a couple of times a month. So then I train there. And then I also train in Aberystwyth, which is Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. So different again.
Yeah, we've got one of those.
Yeah. But
Doing some gun defense, mate, yeah.
I have not been to one of those yet.
Oh, have you not? That's the only time I'm going to go down there.
But
for some gun
Hoist
defense.
Gracie's been there a couple of times. So I've done seminars with him a couple of times.
What's he like? Is he nice?
He's a nice guy. Yeah, he's a good guy. Doesn't want to be on the app, but that's okay. He's got his own things going on.
Yeah, not surprised there.
He's a busy guy. He travels a lot. He's got a big project that he's working on in Florida at the moment with his son. So they're starting a gym down there.
Yeah, mate. I've rode with some of the lads down there, and it's basic jiu-jitsu, isn't it? It's mount, side control,
Yeah,
back take, gun defense.
I've not seen the gun defense. I've not done the gun defense.
I'm only taking a piss, but it's so funny.
I've not done
mate.
the gun defense. I don't train there as often as I'm able to because I'm just very busy. But I do drop in occasionally down there.
Is it the same sort of thing where you have to wear like their branded gis and stuff like that, even if you're coming in or not?
I mean, I don't do it. No.
Some places are quite insistent on that, aren't they?
Yeah, I trained
especially
at,
the Gracie stuff, isn't it?
Yeah,
So-
but even like Hodges, I trained at Hodges Gracie Academy in Moorgate, and I was same as you, was working in London.
Yeah.
At the time, every week, so I was up there once a week for like a night. So I'd drop into the same place, and after about 2 months, the guy was like, "Bro, I don't like to ask, but you're kind of a member. You're here all the time.
Get yourself a gi.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
He was like, if Hodges turned up, he'd kick my ass. I was like,
It's
yeah, it's fine.
£120, by the way.
Yeah, it wasn't cheap. But I was like, yeah, don't worry, I'll get a gi.
Did you get one?
Yeah, I got one.
Oh, nice. I ain't seen you in it.
No, I don't tend to
Just
wear
whip it out,
I don't
mate.
wear a gi full stop
Whip-
mostly if I can help it, mate, these days. But
Oh, I quite like a gi.
I don't know, mate.
do
Wait,
quite like a gi.
give it 10 years, mate, and your fingers stop
Do you know what?
breaking every grip, and you change your
I've done
mind.
that Espen seminar where he was like drilling, and I don't really like a gi. I'll do it now and again, but just someone was like, when we were drilling, broke my grips with like a 2-on-1 grip.
Yeah,
broke
yeah.
it, mate. My knuckle there,
Yeah.
it's fucking bruised, and it's killing me, and I feel like a little baby about it. But that's what pisses
It's the
me off.
little
It's like
ones that
it's
hurt,
like
innit?
it's like yeah, it's just like that's why I don't like the gi. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because my fingers after like I don't know if I train like 3 times a week in the gi,
Yeah.
my fingers are fucking killing. You know what I mean? And I'm 35 now, mate. I'm getting old. I need my fingers.
Yeah, that's it,
Yeah.
mate. I know, when you start like knitting, mate, when you're a bit
That's it,
older.
mate. What am I going to do? I'm going to be able to play COD anymore.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't got time for that. I wish I did.
In fairness, I
I
actually sell my PlayStation. So.
I can't say I've ever had the finger thing. I know what you mean though. Like people always complaining about. I've never experienced that though.
Mate, you just fucking grip break, you know, on me. You fucking got me.
Yeah, just let go, innit? When he pulls it off, just let go first. You know?
In fairness, we were drilling. I didn't expect it. So
Yeah.
it was like thing. And he was like, yeah, 2-on-1 grip. Boom. And I was like, fucking hell.
But no, I'm with you, mate. If someone can get both their hands on your grip, it's coming off. So
Yeah,
it's
just let go straight away.
Yeah.
Sweep in, bam, foot
See,
lock.
you've been reading Dan Strauss's butt though, haven't you, mate? You think you can keep hold of it?
Yeah, I've got a pretty good grip.
on one hand, mate, on your strong hand.
Strong hand.
I couldn't do anything against him. He just bulldozed me.
Yeah, mate, he's a beast.
Yeah, he
we
is.
were laughing with him when he come on because We've had like tons of podcasts, like Sam, our current coach, Kenny, our old coach, like big Mutant Weird Hands, like Fisherman Hands, Bradley Esteema come on. Like we've seen some like weird big hands in the studio, and the grip strength guy came in with the tiniest little hand.
Yeah, it's got like hands like me, mate, like little baby hands.
I was like, mate, how are you so strong? And so but he attributed it a lot to the lack of damage because he doesn't train in the gi.
Right. Yeah, he is pretty anti-gi. Yeah.
See, Espin's hands is always knuckles. He's got like cauliflower knuckles. You know
Cauliflower knuckles.
Yeah, Sam's got it a little bit. He's got it. The guys who train the gi for years, man, they got these big fucking shovel hands. So I don't know if it's like a mutation, mate.
I think it is, mate.
He's like fucking huge.
Mate, I used to know a guy years ago. He was a fisherman. He used to go out on the fishing boats and was always handling rope.
Yeah.
And he had like massive fucked hands as well. And I said, bro, your hand's always been that big. And he's like, nah, they like swell because of the grips on the ropes and stuff.
That's mental, isn't it? It's definitely a thing because it can't be a correlation between, you know what I mean? Like you got big hands, so you're really good at jiu-jitsu.
It'd be nice if there were a rule that you could just go like, right, let's measure these up. There you go, right, purple belt.
There you go, purple belt. Good luck, son.
But yeah, mate, it's mad. But you obviously train it like some like polar opposite gyms there, mate. Like between obviously GB and their framework. Obviously, the Gracie Academy, we joked about the gun defense, but our understanding of that syllabus is that they work around, a lot of self-defense stuff, which includes knives and guns and, various other scenario type training, right through to catch wrestling, which is like the purest form of brutality and grappling that you can probably get. Yeah. So how do you find the contrast between all those?
Personally, I love it. Yeah. I think it's important to have a good eclectic range of training, to be honest. Because jiu-jitsu's got different flavors, right? Yeah. It's got the sports jiu-jitsu. It's got the non-sports jiu-jitsu, which is the Gracie jiu-jitsu, they would say. And then you've got real life scenarios, when you get jumped by 6 people, So if you're a sports jiu-jitsu guy, if you're getting jumped by 6 people, you're not going to fucking pull guard and, footlock the guy at you, So I think just I just enjoy it, to be honest. I think the wider range of knowledge that you can acquire, the better you're going to be. Some people might disagree. Some people might say you need to specialize in certain skill sets. For me, that works to an extent, but then I've probably got a bit of ADHD. I get a little bit bored as well. So it's
I get it, mate. Honestly, I think we were at a time recently called Mixed Grappling Arts, which I really like. Yeah. And it was literally how I got into jiu-jitsu, because I was doing Muay Thai, I was doing Thai boxing, and it was at a very traditional Thai boxing club, but there was actually like they were old school cage fighters, like going back nearly 20 years. Yeah. So they were doing a bit of everything. And I can remember there were 2 occasions that I still remember now that kind of really made me think about what I was doing. One was I was training with, I brought a mate into the Thai boxing class who was a Taekwondo guy. Yeah. And we were sparring and he did this like jumping like side kick. Yeah. Cracked me in the ribs. And I was like, fuck me, that was good. Yeah. And the coach came over and went, you can't do that. It's not Thai boxing. And I was like, well, it worked. Yeah, it worked. So for me, straight away, I was like, that's dumb. If you don't allow somebody to do something that works. Yeah. And the other thing was with the guy who owns Flow, actually, we were doing some Thai clinch work and he did a little judo throw on me and just sent me through the air like I'd never been thrown in my life. And I was like, how did you do that? And he was, I was grappling, mate. And I was like, right, I'm in. Little Haragoshi, boom. So that's kind of like, how I got in was just the idea of being free with training. So I agree. I think like, enjoying a mixture of different grappling arts is good.
And I mean, I'm a fight fan at the end of the day. I'm a jiu-jitsu fan, but I'm also a fight fan. Yeah. So like mix it all up, it's all relevant. Definitely, yeah. Maybe except for the weapons defense, I've not partaken in any of those.
No, give it time, mate.
Yeah. Well, no, not really my thing in Wales, but no, they don't play with that in Wales.
No, you probably need it in London though, mate, don't you? Going up there on a regular basis.
I don't go too often.
Okay.
Stay
in zone 1 as well.
Yeah, I was about to say I stay out of like, those areas where
stay at the ends, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jed's got a gym down in Lewisham, hasn't he? I've been meaning to get down there. But I just haven't made it yet.
Yeah, decent. So where else have you trained then? So you obviously travel a lot with work. You mentioned Switzerland earlier.
Yeah, so Cloud Jiu-Jitsu in Switzerland, that was an eye-opening experience for me. Okay. 6 European RBJJF champions out of that gym at the time when I was training. Trained there. I was only there for like 2 weeks, but I trained with them, pretty extensively. That was my first taster actually of wrestling. So they had a wrestling coach there. I can't remember the chap's name, but he was a champ as well. And they were just like showing takedowns, which for me kind of reminded me a little bit of rugby. I did only a little bit of rugby in school, not a lot. But I was like, oh, all right. So just take rugby, put some grips in there and you've got some wrestling, you know? Because for me, wrestling was always the WWE stuff, you know, it was just nonsense, you know? So I never really looked at it, thought about it. But then when I started training it, I was like, right, this is legit, you know? And then obviously, you know, it's really big now with, you know, CJI and Wrestling Up and all these kinds of instructionals and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, trained out there. I've trained with Aria Esfandes, Pure Jiu-Jitsu, London, North Acton. He's a good guy. He's on the app as well. Ash Williams, trained down with him. Aberystwyth, obviously. So those Gracie Jiu-Jitsu guys there. Bristol, trained in a couple of places. Staple Hill, Bristol, Gracie Baja. Geezer, Nikolai Holt, he's been on the scene for quite a while. He's well known in the GB scene. I just try and drop in everywhere really, whenever I am. Yeah, Mike Grundy's place.
What's it like about good?
Where to, sorry?
Grundy's, is it good? I want to go there.
It's one of those like dark, dingy boxing type gyms, you know,
Class.
where you go in and you're like, fuck, it's cold in here. And my knuckles are aching before I've started anything, you know. It's like, you know, you're going to be in for the hard rounds. Like the warm-ups, I hadn't trained for probably about 3 weeks because I was like just working flat out. I was fucked by the end of the warm-up. Like, he's got
such a wrestling background, obviously.
Yeah,
So they just
different caliber. You know, I got put in a rolling back take by like 3-stripe white belt or something.
His boy is in the comp.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Jack's in the comp.
Jack. Yeah. Jack was there actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got a gym just next to it as well. He's got a fitness gym.
It's Elite, isn't it? It's called, I think.
That's it, yeah. So Wigan. So Mike was actually pretty instrumental in the app. So he was one of the first real big names to actually be like, yeah, this is a good idea. I'll put my name to it. So he was the first British athlete that I got on there, ex-UFC guy. We had a good back and forth. We had a good few conversations around it. And so he showed me support really early on. He's a great
Mike's
guy.
super. Yeah, he was like, it's weird he said that. He was like our first kind of big name we had on. You know what I mean? Like at the time we were like, fucking hell, got Mike coming on, you know, and that was felt like a bit of a turning point really, that we could get good guests on, you know what I mean? And then it was like, that's why we leaned more into jiu-jitsu then, because we was able to get better and better guests on.
Yeah, I think it was his first interview after leaving the UFC as well.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and after his dad had passed away. So,
right, yeah.
So yeah, it was cool to have him on. It was nice of him to do that for us.
Yeah, I mean, there's a long heritage, a long line of wrestling up that part of the world.
Yeah.
Catch wrestling specifically.
Yeah.
Snake Pit and all that. You know, some really good stuff there.
Yeah, wicked. And then as a fan, you mentioned you're obviously a fan.
Yeah.
When you kind of watch grappling, are there any particular athletes that you really enjoy watching?
I mean, outside of the mainstream, you know, the names that everybody knows.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many, isn't there?
Yeah, let me reframe the question for you, because we'll probably find this out later in a way. But do you like watching guard play or kind of wrestling style jiu-jitsu?
Again, I like both. I mean, if I'm in the gi, I'm a guard player.
Yeah.
I like to set submissions up and sweeps on the guard.
Yeah.
And because I'm 35, wrestling up and wrestling down isn't like my first go-to. Yes. But I watch the Rotolo brothers and I watch like Nicky Rod and all those guys. Mm-hmm. But I am increasingly moving to like old man, lazy man jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, nice.
Especially in the gi.
Yeah, good the half guard game or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I would probably choose to watch the UFC over a pure jiu-jitsu match, though.
Yeah, I think that's the case for many people.
Yeah,
in fairness,
100%. Yeah, it's better to watching it. But in fairness, so like CGI for me, if CGI was on or the UFC was on, or if there was a CGI event on fairly regularly, like in the style of like how UFC does it, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
To be fair, I found myself these days, like more recently, I think it's because probably the frequency of the UFC and the size of the roster, but I definitely find myself like watching some shows and not others. So in the past, I would have watched all the UFC shows. Yeah. But now it's very dependent on like who's fighting.
Yeah,
like,
same.
I'm buzzed for tonight, for example.
Yeah.
Or today, whenever it's on Oz, I think. And it's Strickland and
he's got a bit of staff apparently. Have you seen the posts?
I saw it on his arm. Yeah.
Yeah, he said that staff doesn't affect him.
No.
Yeah. See what the doctors say. That's a problem.
Well, he can't have a hole in it, can he? So it's got to be like closed over for him to fight. So
Is that the rule, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you got like an open wound like that from a staph infection, so when it's closed over, it's like cleared effectively.
Right, okay.
Like no more shit can get in it. You can't really give it to anyone.
Yeah, but that's normally when it's like coming out before it bursts open, isn't it?
No, he's got a hole in it now. From the photo on his arm is it's got a hole.
Right.
So like staph, it pretty much like it like comes out and then it bursts quite quickly when you've had it.
Well, it depends how deep it is, mate. I've had staph before that just boiled up and stayed that way for ages.
Yeah, mine took actually a while. That
never
one
had
there.
it.
But you wouldn't be able to fight though if he had it as bad as that. You know what I mean? When it was like mine was like horrendous. My hand went like fucking huge. There's no way you'd be able to fight like it. It's like it's so painful. You wouldn't be able to do it.
I had ringworm, but I've never had staph. Staph's a nasty one.
Yeah,
you've
mate.
got to avoid that.
Yeah, I've had it twice now.
Really?
Yeah, I've not had it for a while. I first picked it up in Thailand years ago.
I've heard that from a few people actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's better now because I was training at Tiger Muay Thai and it was before they had like the closed facility there.
Yeah.
So it was literally open.
Yeah.
So it was just hot and humid.
Hot, sweaty, humid. Yeah.
And you get lads that were like obviously there training all day, every day, probably not showering that much. They probably weren't cleaning the mats very often.
Yeah.
And it was just rife there, mate. So yeah, but it might be better now. It's air conned in a closed room apparently. So who knows? But yeah, the point I was making though is that I tend to watch just the big fights now. So I might even, to Danny's like point, find myself if it was CJI on, for example, and a UFC event where there wasn't a big fight, I might find myself watching CJI.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk to you about your view on different comps because obviously you're in a business now that would be helped if Jiu-Jitsu was mainstream.
Yeah.
And obviously practiced by the masses.
Yeah.
You're obviously a fan of Polaris.
Yeah. I've worked with them.
Yeah.
Good guys. Hi, everyone. Polaris today, actually.
Yeah.
Great card as well.
Great card. That's why I was wearing it.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, to be fair, when we booked you, I said it on the way in. When we booked you, I was like, oh, I wonder if you're going to realise that Polaris was on and bail. But
yeah, I've come repping them, so hopefully they can rep me in the next one.
Yeah, nice.
But no, I sponsored one of their events, and they're doing big things for the sport, and as well being a Welsh company.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know, but they're based out of South Wales. There's quite a lot going on in Wales when it comes to the jiu-jitsu
like really
stuff.
good up there, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Specifically, Ash's place, high level guys there.
Yeah.
High level guys there.
Yeah. But you've obviously got Polaris, which are like, leading in the UK.
Yeah.
And they've got, their rule set. You've then obviously got ADCC, which has been long regarded the Olympics of our sport.
Yeah.
And then, of course, last year we had CJI disturb that or disrupt that kind of, not that view of it, but certainly that event.
Yeah.
And there's like a number of different shows. You've got PJF, so you've got the league type events. You've obviously got quintet type events. I mean,
AGA as well. AGA's a good one.
Yeah, that's looking really good. Yeah. So from your perspective, like, what do you see, like maybe sort of with your business hat and also as a fan, like where do you see like the direction to travel from sort of professional grappling and where it might go?
In terms of the sport itself?
Yeah, so like, I guess the type of rule set, like gi, no gi, like CGI type thing, pit, no pit.
Yeah, I think it's no surprise, right? No gi's far more exciting than gi, right? You've got to be a purist to really enjoy a gi match. And I mean, I would consider myself someone who enjoys gi, but I'm not going to go and watch a gi match. Like, I will never watch it unless I'm there and it's happening. Because everyone stalls. It's pretty boring to watch unless you're a little bit purist and autistic potentially, but like a lot of us are apparently in jiu-jitsu. But so I think the no-gi stuff is going to be big. Obviously, we're seeing that already, like you said, with CJI. All the mainstream comps these days are no-gi, like all the exciting stuff that gets the views, the reels. So I think that's where it's going to go. I think there's going to be. I mean, I've changed my mind a little bit. I used to think that the gi was going to just die off. I don't think that's the case. I think you're still going to, your foundational stuff comes from the gi. And then once you feel comfortable enough in that space, I think then naturally you progress to explore to no gi. So I think that's going to be the more exciting stuff. Obviously, Fight Pass have just purchased some rights as well with, was it Mike Musa?
Mikey Musashi, yeah.
He was just signed up to them. So I think with names like that and promotions like that, the only thing it can do is grow. We're keen at Matador to sponsor a lot of these people, partner with a lot of these people. In discussions with some of them already. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity, a great time to be in the sport, really.
Yeah,
and it is very exciting. when you've got people like Craig Jones walking out these, Volkanovski, for example, and you've got a weird mix with like Mark Zuckerberg there, all of a sudden, like the whole world is starting to just come together around it. So it's a great time to be alive in the sport. But yeah, I think the pit's going to be big as well. So you probably, as well as I do, know like a fair few gyms who've actually put those in place now. So there's a couple of gyms up that I'm aware of, like around the sort of Midlands way, who have put that into play. It's a different dynamic, isn't it? You can do different submissions, you can different defensive and attack moves, but also you can get fully exposed. I think Luke Rockhold got pretty exposed by Pat Downey, didn't he? In CGI against that wall. That looked brutal. Some of those slams. Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I think it's a young enough sport that it can still be sort of revolutionised and changed. And I think that's really exciting. Whether it's come from rule sets, like the quintet stuff is really cool as well. That's what I would like to see personally. I think team matches are really exciting. I think team matches are the one. And I think that's what a lot of people get engaged in, because the one-on-one is great, but actually, again, value for money. Pay the same price, see many more people compete. So I think that's where it's going to go.
Yeah, and I think like it just feels more of a sport, doesn't it, when it's like team? You know what I mean? And there's obviously, any athlete will go out and want to win, and will have a team behind the scenes supporting them. They don't want to let down. But I think when you've directly got your team on the side of the mat with you,
it helps for sure, doesn't it?
Yeah, massively. I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But it's an interesting point about the gi, because when we spoke to Espen recently, we asked him the question about gi, no gi, because he's historically been a gi competitor. And we asked if he's going to be doing more no gi. And he said he's probably still going to lean into gi. And he also thinks, based on the Euros, like it's the biggest ever event, like 6,000 people. He was like, even from a business perspective, as a coach or an athlete, sure, there's some big no-gi prizes if you're the best person.
Yes.
But actually, from like a seminar perspective, speaking to your world, or a coach, actually, there's a huge opportunity still in the gi.
I think so. I think so. And this is why I've kind of switched. I did think originally perhaps the gi will die, but I think that was more of a exposure and educational piece for me. I think there's a resurgence coming. But I don't think it will ever go away. But yeah, you're right. I think that's the way the opportunity is. There's far more people who are, just sort of casual practitioners who are doing it in the gi than in the no gi.
Yeah, 100%. Like you think of all the 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds that start in jiu-jitsu now, white, blue belts, whatever, in the gi. It's slower. They can control the pace a bit better.
Yeah,
they can,
that's
and they enjoy it. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's it, though, isn't it? It's like like we were rolling with Frank last night. In no-gi, it's hard because he's just powerful and fast. It's like
and 19.
And 19, yeah, that's what I mean. Like he's just powerful, fast, young, fit. It makes it harder. But if you got grips of a gi, it slows them down.
It levels the playing field, doesn't it? Taking the pajamas off. There's a lot more that can go wrong, and it's a lot faster.
Yeah, it's a lot faster, and it's just harder. It's just, it's not hard. It can be harder. I would say that before everyone starts going, no, it's not. It can be harder.
Yeah.
If you come up against a young athletic athlete, it's less about actual jiu-jitsu, whereas the gi is so technical. There's so technical and there's so much to learn. And if you get a good gi player, you're fucked. You know what I mean? You're fucked. Yeah. But yeah, it's a huge market, mate. I don't think I thought the same, to be honest with you, not too long ago. I thought it might die out. But I don't know. I just feel like at the moment, maybe like even with Adam winning the worlds and stuff in Europe and stuff, it's probably made people think like, you don't have to be Brazilian to win the worlds, and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think people are enjoying it more.
Yeah.
No, it definitely feels like it. And I think the sport as a whole is, you're right. I think it's definitely like picking up. I always have this like conversation because it's weird, as you know, I've been training like in and out of the sport for like 20 years. So it almost feels like, I don't know, if jiu-jitsu was Bitcoin, I got in when it was like, I don't know, £1.
Nice.
You know what I mean? And,
Perfect.
And now I'm like, are we at 70 grand now, or are we still only at 40 grand? Is it going to peak even more?
I think it peaks. I think it peaks even more. I don't think we've seen, if you look at other sports, just think about how long they've been around or mainstream, right? This was only discovered really in 93, 94, wasn't it? So, we're 20, actually, no, we're a few more years than that. That's my millennial brain coming in. What are we, 30 years in?
30 years.
We're 30 years in. Is there any other sports that you can think of that are 30 years in?
No, mate.
No, because, look at a very niche sport, golf, for example, which is I do that in my day job. I consult with a big sports golf predominantly firm. That's huge sport. Absolutely massive, multi-million-pound sponsorship deals. Huge opportunities. You've got big events out in Saudi Arabia. All these remote and sort of places. So it can only go up. It can't go backwards, especially when you've got the names and the platforms involved. Dana White buying all these things up, and all these rights. Flow Grappling, CJI. There's no. I find it really. It's impossible to.
I think it's the kids, though, mate. I think the kids now are growing up with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like just normal kids, not always just playing football now. They're doing jiu-jitsu. They see it in UFC. They love like MMA. You speak to my lad, he's 13. They all like to think they're doing MMA.
Yeah.
But the safe version of it is jiu-jitsu. So they all do jiu-jitsu. Right. Then they fall in love with jiu-jitsu. Like he's fallen in love with jiu-jitsu now. So he's like, can't wait to get in the gi and can't wait to train. So
that's amazing.
But it started though by saying, I want to go MMA training. You know what I mean? And then he realized like MMA's fun, but I get punched in the face, it hurts. and if someone's good at jiu-jitsu, they beat the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
So he's realized that really quick. He's like, there's a couple of lads down there who are really good at jiu-jitsu. And when they do the MMA class, they get on top of them, you can't get them off. And I'm like, well, guess what, mate? You need to go jiu-jitsu, and then that's it. And then they switch over, and then they realize like the technical aspect of it.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't even know what jiu-jitsu was until like four years ago, maybe like pre-COVID. Really, I didn't know what jiu-jitsu was. I knew of it, but I didn't really know how fun it was, or the intricacies, or how complex it was. I thought it was like just fucking weirdos in pajamas, mate. Like same as like karate or something.
Is that literally what you thought of me when I hired you? Was it, mate?
Mate, you said to me though that you'd done jiu-jitsu, and I was like, oh, cool, mate. Do you know what I mean? I didn't mean anything to me. I didn't know what it was. You know what I mean? He could have said taekwondo to me, and it would have been like the same thing. And I think that's changing though. I think that's changing. Like if you say to someone now you do jiu-jitsu, they know it's like it's kind of like you like fighting. You know what I mean? It's not like doing cars. You know what I mean? In pajamas.
For the uninitiated, it does definitely sound like some wacky out there sport then, isn't it? I do jiu-jitsu. All right. What's that, feng shui? What is it you do? Like I'll have conversations with people older than me, and I'll talk to them about jiu-jitsu, and they'll be like, oh, okay, so
cuddle men.
Tight. No, but no, they literally have no clue. They think I'm flying through the air, like you said, like doing some weird shit. Which sometimes I am, but
that's changing though. That's what I genuinely believe is changing. Like as it's going into like schools more, and kids are doing it, and they're watching UFC, and it's all it's all interlinked. So like you said, 30 years of jiu-jitsu, like it's probably grown in the last 5 years post COVID than it did in fucking 20.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's going to keep going. And like we've had like Pat Downey on, and the wrestlers now, they're noticing, oh shit, like there's more money in jiu-jitsu than there is wrestling. So all the American wrestlers are coming through now, and if they don't make it as wrestlers, guess what? They're going to be jiu-jitsu practitioners. Because that's the next phase, isn't it? And then that's going to build on it. It is exciting. I think it's going to take for it to go real mainstream is someone like UFC or PGF or something to do a UFC style, champions of weight divisions, and do it as a proper regular show, like really regular, maybe like every other week or something, with the different weight categories, exactly the same as they do with the UFC, in a pit or something really exciting. But maybe it might be teams or whatever they choose to do with contracted fighters, and we all fucking get in on it then. And then the media comes, and then once it goes mainstream and it's like everywhere, that'll be the start of it. That'll be it. But once it's just got to take that to start it. I think like Polaris do a great job in those types of companies, but it's like an event every now and again. And it's just for us. It's just for us jiu-jitsu nerds. Whereas I think if they really want to break into the mainstream, they got to make it like engaging for regular people. They got to get into the characters of the fighters, build rivalries and all that bollocks. You know what I mean? And you can't really do it if you're doing a Polaris twice a year. Just doesn't have the same effect, does it? You know what I mean? And that's why PGF are doing a good job, because the lads who are fighting in that, a lot of them fucking don't like each other, because they're fighting each other like for that whole week all the time, multiple times, and then they get that rivalry. So I think once they do that, I think that'll start. That's start changing.
Brandon's thing, isn't it?
Brandon McCaffrey.
We've actually got a few of his team on the app already.
Yeah,
nice.
Mantis was the first purple belt on there, actually. He's brown belt now.
Yeah, decent.
Travis Thomas. Yeah.
Sounds like a good time to be involved with the sport then, boys.
No, it certainly is. Yeah, it certainly is. Yeah.
Nice. Well, speaking of which, should we go have some struggle cuddles somewhere?
We could do some struggle cuddles, yeah. Bit of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Do you want to wrap up with any plugs, mate, or any other information?
Well, just give us a follow. Follow us on the app, on the Instagram. We've only got an Instagram really that we're focusing on right now. So that's Matador App. That's our handle at Matador App. Website is matadorapp.io because we're actually a tech firm. So that's the extension IO. And yeah, we've got our seminar, our first inaugural fight camp seminar, May 3rd to 5th. £200 for the whole weekend, but we've also got daily prices. But the weekend ticket is the better value for money. 3rd, 4th, 5th. Dean Lister, Machin, Masjalowicz, Ash Williams, and Roy Dean, and a number of sponsors.
Nice.
But thanks for having me on, guys. It's been really good.
Yeah, it's been great, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, mate, and keep up the good work. It sounds really exciting, mate.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.